Yeah. The price of Bitcoin as we microdose the Church of Max Kaiser. Well, it is $55,732.83 over at CoinGecko.
Yeah, that's fine and dandy. Super. Love it.
You love it. And guess what? The price of gold is, we like to keep track of this because there's the big debate coming up at 3 o'clock Eastern time. And that is between Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy and Frank Justra, who is a big gold bug out of Canada. And the price of gold as we speak is $793.20. That's up $14 today. So all those basically shell-shocked and gaslit gold bugs out there might be feeling a little bit better today, a little bit more positive. By gold standards, that's a huge rally of $14.40.
Yeah, exactly. Silver I see is up also. People are getting excited about silver. Hopefully silver can get above $30. That would be a nice move. And then so we got the big debate. Michael Saylor, Frank Justra over there at with Daniela Cambone over at Stansberry Research coming up at 3 o'clock. That's why we're doing this early, right?
Yep, we're doing this about half an hour early, and you could go register for it. It's free to register and view it, DanielaCamboni.com. And we have a little clip that we're going to play in a moment of Max Kaiser, because he did the pre-debate show with Daniela on Friday and talking about what you might imagine Michael Saylor is going to take, the positions he'll take, and the positions that Frank will take, and what sort of knockout punch is possible. Obviously, there's no knockout punch possible from the gold side, but I think you gave a pretty fair and balanced, considering the situation.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting. As I said in that interview, Frank Justra seems like he really wants to do this debate, and like he's got some kind of knockout punch ready to go. He's got something, a smoking gun or something. He's questioning Michael Saylor's reasoning behind this, and he wants clarity. And I don't know what he's talking about really, but it'll be very interesting to see how it unfolds. I think a lot of people are going to be tuning in.
Yeah, I don't think he's got any special knockout punch unless he's just drinking a lot of. What do Canadians drink? Is it beer or what? Like
Molson.
Molson.
Labatt's.
Well, of course. Molson, Labatt's. I don't think he has anything that he could pull on. Well, it's the Church of Max Kaiser because of a reason. We're going to talk about that in a moment. I have some comments that were made online this week, and they really made me think about, Orange Pill Podcast and what we do over here at Orange Pill Podcast, the microdose and the full dose on the weekend, and also our Telegram group, t.me/orange pill. This microdose is, of course, brought to you by swanbitcoin.com/orange pill, and we're going to smash by. We microdose, we smash by, we inject a full daily dose into your mailbox at orangepilldailydose.com. We're all over the place, right? We also do Kaiser Report. And first, I'll start with a comment from Luigi in our Telegram group, because I thought this was interesting to juxtapose it against something that was said on Twitter by the Church of Max Kaiser. So somebody who runs the Church of Max Kaiser. But this comment is what we actually strive for. This is what we try for. And so I'm glad that somebody as smart as Luigi, who has done some of the great memes in our Telegram group. But here is what he said about our show. He said, I was thinking this morning about what is the essential difference between the Kaiser Report, Orange Pill Podcast, and pretty much every other show, alternative and mainstream, even though they may cover similar topics. The difference is, when I listen to Max and Stacy, I feel no fear. They inspire no fear in me, only love. I can't watch anything else anymore. It all just feels like my feelings are being manipulated. Fear is the mind killer. Watching Max and Stacy has expanded my mind.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All these other outlets are pushing the fear, we push the positivity. That's our what we push here. The orange pill is all about positivity.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the mindset of the Bitcoin community, and what we're pointing out is like, yeah, we cover some of the same stories. We cover stories, we pick them out of CNBC or Bloomberg or Financial Times or the BBC or any of the mainstream sort of news. And I think, their outlook is definitely always like within the confines of anything that is negative towards the establishment, anything challenging the institutions, anything challenging the elite. Where from the very foundation of our time together, and our first podcast, which we made in 2003, is talking about the people versus, how we're more powerful and always have been throughout history than the elite. There are periods of time where, some people mistakenly think that they're weaker and that they have no power, that they are that, they're picked off kind of individually as like that famous elephant, the baby elephant who can be tied to a tree with a rope. And even when it's a huge mammoth, several ton elephant, it could obviously pull the tree down if it wanted, but instead it thinks it's trapped. Well, I think what we found always, even before Bitcoin, was there were always tools available. So when we did Karma Bank, or when we did Crash JP Morgan Buy Silver, the thing is that there are always weaknesses in your seemingly indomitable enemy who has the control. They control the apparatus of the state. They control the police force. They control the military. They control the State Department. They control all the forces of power in the economy. And, I think at the end of the day, if there's always us together. Like there's always us together. But now with Bitcoin, it's created that network effect throughout the world of a peer-to-peer distributed decentralized network that is totally incapable of being taken down by any elite, no matter how powerful they are. They can't take it down. So what do you think about that, Max, in terms of the positivity? I'm going to have a drink.
There's always a vulnerability, right? Even in the most seemingly impregnable fortress, there's always a vulnerability somewhere. And it's just a matter of trying to get to it. When you have the crowd and you can crowdsource that information and that knowledge, it's easier. And it's never easier than now to get the crowd working together to figure out where the vulnerabilities are on the monolithic, the powerful, the elites, as they're called, and to attack the vulnerability and to push back. So and Bitcoin is the ultimate kind of, you could say, weapon in a lot of ways, although I think of it more as a shield than a sword. But nevertheless, it is in its perfection as a shield. It has exposed a very big gaping hole in the central banking system, because their only way to fight Bitcoin is to print more money. And of course, that's what drives Bitcoin higher. So they become drones, right? They become our best advocates because they have nothing but money printing to do. And that, of course, helps Bitcoin.
What do you mean by that? Because I saw it quoted around the internet this week on Twitter, on Bitcoin Twitter, and that was that you said Bitcoin is a shield, not a sword.
Right. Well, Bitcoin is an encrypted shield where it separates state from money. So the state can't get at your money. The banks have nothing to do with your money. It's just peer to peer within this dome, this encrypted dome, that's shielding the community and the network from outside forces of monopolization, of central banking, of money printing. So it's an encrypted shield, and it's more passive resistance, and it's more as a way to fight. It's not a weapon as such. It's not being used in that manner. It's being used more as a passive resistance, as you've seen that used in the past when you see conflicts between the powerful and the powerless. And Bitcoin is the ultimate tool of the powerless, because the only way the powerful can fight against it is to print more of the paper, which only makes the shield stronger. Price goes up, encryption goes, the security goes up, hash rate goes up. So the more they fight it, the stronger the shield, and the more decapitalized they make themselves. They take themselves out of the game.
Well, it's like the art of war, you're saying. So it's like Sun Tzu, was it, who wrote the art of war and talking about, that's practiced a lot more in that whole the mentality of playing chess or more strategic long term. Let your, uh, you know, obviously using your enemy's energy against itself is always the best thing. Right now, of course, I think I think it's partly Bitcoin has kind of caused the central banks to exhaust themselves with money printing in a way. I think because of
Hmm.
their honesty, because it's a price signal that can't be suppressed. I think it's kind of forced the hand of these central banks to print more and more. And I think that is thus like exhausting that fiat system, which whose end was inevitable anyway. It's not like it was something that was, that was caused by Bitcoin, but it was definitely hastened by it. The end was hastened, like its accelerated demise of fiat, because up until Bitcoin, they did have almost absolute control over the price signal, and they could basically extend and pretend the confrontation with reality for quite a long time.
Yeah, they as Christine Lagarde calls it, it's an escape valve. So it's the first time in history that the average person can opt out. Right? It's not state money. It's not bank money. It's a P2P system within the community that has a different value, a completely different set of values, and it draws on philosophy and values stated in different structures from the past, and it's kind of the best of the best, and it weeds out the weak hands, and the weak-minded, and the weak-willed, and the morally weak, and you end up with the hardest money, with the hardest philosophical, metaphysical foundation that's completely and cryptically and shield against the outside forces of mediocrity and money printing, and that money printing is just ramping up more and more. The way the central banks always see the solution to every problem is to print more money, and the more they figure that Bitcoin is a problem, they're going to print even more money. So they're not going to ever stop. Some of them will convert and they'll say, "Oh wow, we're going to lose this game. I'm going to start buying Bitcoin and join the Bitcoin community." Some will do that, of course, and they're welcome to do that. But the most will just keep printing, and we see that in the money supply figures. They're hyperbolically expanding at rates never ever before seen in history either. So you have the hardest money ever in history. You have the first time separation of state and money ever in history. You have the fastest money printing ever in history. A lot of
Hmm.
different things are happening at the greatest rate ever in history here in the early part of the 21st century. So this is an inflection point that is going to bring back some issues that have been dormant for thousands of years. They're going to be back in play.
Right. I have a margarita here, just made of Cointreau and tequila, using the last of the Casamigos. I had a small bottle of it and some lime juice. That's it. And I noticed I hadn't had a margarita in the last episode or two because my limes, sorry, were kind of going bad. Now, there's somebody here. I'm going to read a comment before we then go to this clip of Max Kaiser in the pre debate show with Daniela Camboni. But this is from Chris Smith, and he says, "The biggest regret of my life was not listening to Max and Stacy in 2013. I'll never live it down, but I'm all in now." Yes, that's what I'm saying. Just focus on that last sentence. Don't have regrets. Don't, fill yourself with regrets because you don't know what the past, like you think you could have done something, but you might not have. Like you might have been involved. Your coins might have been on Mount Gox because that was all that was available back in 2013, or your QT wallet. You might have used a QT wallet instead, and your laptop you might have thrown away, or it might have blown up and melted down, and you figured, well, those $500 or $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, they're not worth much, right? And so regrets are like regrets are for those who watch MSNBC or CNN, in my opinion.
Right. Well, the fact that anyone's alive even for one day is the odds are, you know, uh, quintillion, gazillion to one, right? Because you had to, your mother had to meet your father. that particular sperm hit that particular egg at that particular moment in that particular environment at that particular life, in this particular planet, in this particular solar system, right? And so it's just the chances of being here even now breathing are almost infinite to zero. It's just crazy. So, and we'll all be gone soon anyway. So there's no point in, 2013, 2021, 2031. It's all the same.
Yeah, that's all the same. So yeah, we're gearing up. Everybody who's going to be watching the Daniela Camboni hosted interview, the debate, the match, the great match between Michael Saylor on one side arguing for Bitcoin, and on the other side is Frank Giustra arguing for gold. So who do you think is going to win? Is there anybody actually watching this who has any sort of hope that Frank Giustra will win this? Is there anybody on his side? Let us know, because I can't imagine there are many people out there that think this, that this will, that he could possibly win. About 2 years ago, there was a debate. I think it was hosted by Tone Vase. I can't remember, but it was between Saif Dinamus and Peter Schiff. Now, Peter Schiff is just so closed-minded and has his, his message down pat. Like, he won't veer from that at all. So, at the end of the day, it was just Saif Dean like talking against a wall. It was like throwing a tennis ball against the wall. It just like kept on bouncing back into nothingness. So who out there actually think that Frank will have any luck at all? Frank is the lamb to the slaughter. Bless him, he's got no hope. Honey Badger always wins. I'm just watching for gold. LLL, joking. Sailor knockout round 1. Popeye. Saifadine. I will be watching and cheering on Michael. My great grandchildren will be living off my 5 million Satoshis. It doesn't seem fair, to be honest. That's true. I mean, but
he kept badgering for a debate.
That's exactly the point. Frank is the one that was begging for this. And sometimes, humiliation is one road to, enlightenment, right? To be humiliated and publicly embarrassed. It's a way to realize, just like getting wrecked. The path to Bitcoin enlightenment is often through shitcoin wreckery and getting totally annihilated. And
I think the goal for Michael Saylor is not going to win the debate. I think the goal for Michael Saylor will get Frank to put an order in for Bitcoin during the debate.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to get him. He's going to close him on Bitcoin during the debate. That would be the goal. That would be my goal. I think that'll be his goal. Like, let the debate. There's really no debate. You don't own any Bitcoin. He says he doesn't own any. He's going to underperform. He's been underperforming for 10 years. He's going to underperform for the next 10 to 20 years. If he doesn't want to underperform, there's only one outcome. He has to have some Bitcoin, and the sooner the better. Today's an excellent day. Let's get it started. And I think that will be what we see.
Somebody said that Michael Saylor is going to rip Frank Giustra apart like a honey badger rips a cobra apart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you see those. Those are vicious.
There is no, you never get bored of the honey badger videos. They're just hysterical. One of my favorites is I was looking at a clip from Africa, obviously, and it's all these young lions or tigers, whatever. And their mom sees them fighting a honey badger and is looking at them like, yeah, good luck. Good luck with that, kids.
You got to get wrecked sometimes.
And that's what it's going to be like tuning in to this debate between Frank Giustra and Michael Saylor. But in the lead up to that, I want to show you this clip. I mean, mostly because I like playing with this new Stream Deck thing that I figured out, and I can now cut to a video, I think. And we're going to try cutting to this little clip of where Max was asked by Daniela of like, what does he think that the killer punch will be? Like, where is there no getting around the argument? How will Frank Giustra get cornered? And this is one of the answers that Max had there. Let's see if this works, okay? If it doesn't, we'll just stay here.
Well, I think with gold, the greatest attack, as Saylor would point out time and time again is that it's not technology. And we live in a century that's now being completely dominated by technology. And what made Bitcoin great was all of the technology that we've seen for decades developing in the United States finally caught up to money. So money was the last industry, the last entity in the economy that hadn't been completely transformed by software, by technology. It has impacted every other industry in the world. Most companies, and at the end of the day, are software companies. We see this in the auto industry where they can't deliver cars now because they're out of microchips, right? So that's software, that's computer technology. It finally caught up to money itself in 2009 with Bitcoin, and now it's simply taken off from there. Frank, I know, has said that, well, Bitcoin's only 12 years old and we don't have enough of a track record, but that's a bit of a misnomer because Bitcoin builds on 25 years of technology development in the space. The so-called cypherpunks have been working on this for 25 years. Even Henry Ford, speaking of the car industry, talked about having an electric money as electricity as money. And he made those comments, 100 years ago. So this is not really as new as some think it is. It's the culmination of many decades of work. And then it finally took off in 2009. And like any network technology, it has the potential to go exponential. And that's we're at now, that hockey stick moment where ubiquity kicks in. So I think that Michael Saylor will drive home the point that this is technology and how technology is the centerpiece of the global economy and how technology is now transforming money itself and does a better job than gold in areas like portability, in sending money or sending value on the internet. Obviously, Bitcoin would be better than gold for that purpose. The transaction costs actually in Bitcoin are incredibly cheaper than gold in moving size. If you use move $1 billion worth of gold, Daniela, it's going to cost you at a minimum $30,000, $40,000 to make a move like that from one bank to another. We've seen $1 billion moves in Bitcoin routinely now costing $5. So that's an incredible cost advantage. So the technology aspect to it, I think, is really going to be a tough nut for Frank to overcome because it's such an obvious transformative reality that I think that's going to be a tough nut to crack, as I've said.
All right. What did you think of that?
Oh, yeah.
Did you think that guy was smart or what?
What did that guy? That guy seemed to have a good handle on things. I liked his jacket and tie. Very nice. The kind of a summary look. And the technology issue is certainly, I think, going to be, as I said, it's going to be a main issue, and it's one that I don't think there's a proper answer to.
Yeah, I just noticed like that little box on the lower left-hand corner was my mistake in terms of something I did on that side, but it looked fine. It kind of looked like a graphic that was like, it looked like a branding thing, so I was happy with that. And yeah, I think I can't understand, actually. I can't understand these guys at this point. Okay, the likes of Frank Justra or Nassim Taleb. I was going to say Peter Schiff, but I don't think Peter Schiff is totally honest about it. I'm not sure that he actually hates Bitcoin as much as he claims. I think he does it for engagement at this point. But the likes of Nassim Taleb or Frank Justra, like, I don't understand how they could even look at Bitcoin and have looked at it for so long and see the price action, see the market action, see the participation rate, see the institutions getting involved, and still like deny the stuff they see. Like, I just don't get that anymore. I don't understand.
Well, they tend to be Luddites. Peter Schiff is a kind of an interesting example because over the past 10 years, he's never owned Google. He's never owned Amazon. He's never owned Netflix. He's never owned Apple. So, these have become the biggest companies in the world, the leaders in the market. And he's never owned any technology company like Warren Buffett, who was completely negative on technology for almost his entire career, very negative on technology. And in the gold mining industry, most of the time, the entire industry really loves gold, and they look down on technology. They look down on Elon Musk. They look down on Tesla. So that's why this technology argument is not resonating with this gold community, because they're Luddites. They really just live in a world of money as it was used thousands of years ago, and they don't really have not advanced since then in their thinking, and they stick to that. Their models, their mind models, their models of thinking are just simply have not caught up to the last 100 years of development in the technology world.
Right. In terms of catching up, until right now we're at 199 thumbs up. And once it gets to 300, I'll talk again. We're going to talk about the Church of Max Kaiser.
Yeah.
I actually meant to put my orange wig on today. I guess I forgot, because when I see the image, I see I'm not wearing a wig. I see my hair is not orange.
You didn't know it until you saw the image.
Yeah. And then I was like, I really I was all excited about this orange wig and prepping for it. And then I forgot. It happens when you pass like 40 years old. Like it just goes rapidly downhill from there.
Oh, it does. It goes rapidly.
Or it could be the margarita.
It falls apart pretty rapidly.
Why don't we do that? Since oh wow, look, the likes are going up fast. Maybe I'm gonna have to talk again.
Oh.
270. Wow. See, ask and ye shall receive. This is the Church of Max Kaiser. Ask and ye shall receive.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of saying Hail Marys. Like, give me 100 likes and Max Kaiser will forgive you.
I forgive all.
He's a benevolent church master.
The Church of Max Kaiser. Come on in. Get saved. Save with Bitcoin. Save yourself with Bitcoin. And that's the way it works at the Church of Max Kaiser.
That's the way it works. And we're going to do a smash buy together momentarily. Why did Stacy marry Max instead of Chad? Max is Chad. He's the original Chad. Westchester County. It's the land of Chad.
A lot of people, kids, yeah, Chad, Biff.
Chad, Biff, Buffy. It's like, it's like, we don't want to get into that debate again, but it's the land of where people call their sandwiches wedges.
Yeah, we call them wedges in Larchmont. That's right. The only geographic area in America, unlike other areas that may use the word grinder or sub.
Chad Max. I'm so, look, we're at 324, so I could talk again. I'm so looking forward to Miami. If I make it away from, get away from the water, like I might go to the beach or the pool instead, but I'm definitely going to be there at the same time.
How did you like the conference? It was great. Did it start yet? It ended like 5 days ago. Oh, I was at the pool.
That's going to be me. So, I can't stop myself. I got to go jump in the ocean.
Yeah. That's good.
There's nothing at all in life that feels so good. Maybe. There's just
great
like
stuff.
2 or 3 things. Okay, so we are going to, which do you want me to do first? Do you want to smash by with me, or do you want to continue getting smashed and me read the Church of Max Kaiser, the tweet stream in response to Luigi? Like I'm juxtaposing those 2 statements to us. That's the thing. That's a Hollywood thing, right? It's a film technique, a filmmaking technique of juxtaposing 2 images to tell a story. So I'm juxtaposing 2 tweets to tell a story. And I want to do that. But what would you rather do? Smash by or get smashed on that?
What do the people say?
Well, there is a little bit of delay that in our settings because, it's streaming at a higher resolution than normal. Smash by. Okay. They want to smash by. Somebody's now get smashed. Keep reading for 2 minutes. Well, you know what? I see that Bitcoin fell back a little bit. So it's 55,550.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So maybe it's a better time to smash buy right now. So I am going to smash buy. Going to go to swanbitcoin.com. Hit buy instantly. I'm going to hit let's get the maximum amount available.
The Church of Max Kaiser. We're going to make a hostile raid on the Church of John Coltrane.
Yeah, we could merge. It could just merge like
Yeah, we're going to merge. Yeah.
Max Kaiser Coltrane. Max.
Love supreme, a love supreme, a
Okay.
love supreme,
Okay.
a
My
love
price is
supreme, a love
55,617.
supreme, a
All
love
right.
supreme,
Smash.
a love
Buy.
supreme,
Smash.
a
Buy.
love supreme,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
supreme,
Yeah.
a love
Yeah.
supreme,
Yeah.
love supreme.
Okay. It's circling. It's circling. Yeah.
I got my
Oh, I got the balloons.
Satoshis
I got the
in my
balloons.
wallet right now. I'm going downtown, gonna smash by.
Hopefully you'll get asked by Bitcoin Magazine. You know, we were out with David Bailey last week on that Swan Signal, and I noticed he didn't ask you to perform. He didn't ask you to sing or do any of your go-go dancing or pole dancing or your famous lesbian bar pole dancing stuff.
Oh yeah, it's been talked about. Back channels. We're doing some back channels on that.
Who wants to see Max pole dance?
I was watching more of them Rick Beato videos.
Uh-huh. Who's that again?
He has a YouTube channel, Rick Beato, and talks about rock and roll music and different songs and different chord progressions and what makes this song great.
Oh yeah,
top
yeah. You
10
showed me one of
soloists.
those. Yeah.
Yeah, he did one on the fact he's like, rock died in 1995.
That's what Rick Beato says?
Yeah.
Why does he say rock died in 1995? What happened in 95?
What happened was that popular music no longer had any reference to the blues. So he was saying that basically in the 60s, during especially the British invasion, the Rolling Stones, it was all about the blues, and they had heard the blues and they played the blues. And the blues were really the bedrock of rock music, really, during the 60s, 70s, 80s, and up until the early 90s. But then starting in the mid 90s, you had the boy bands and you had all these other types of acts come about. And there was no connection to the blues whatsoever. So he's making the case that rock and roll essentially died at that time. So you don't really have any music, original music these days, pop music that's coming out for that reason. That was his video that he was talking about. It's an interesting concept, really, because the pop music and the synthetic music and the electronic music that we've had, the rave music, it goes with this, really, the millennials and the Gen Z. And it's just a different, very, very different social environment that we live in. And Bitcoin appeals to the millennials and the Gen Z, and Bitcoin is very much the money of this next two generations. But the blues and the rock and roll, that is, kind of now history. I have another friend of mine who made a comment that was very, very interesting. When you play music, let's say big band music from the 40s.
Yeah.
And it sounds really dated. And
Sure.
exactly where that time period of like Glenn Miller or this type of music. And you're like, wow, I remember the 40s. And it just sounds so much like that period. Whereas like that rock and roll from the 60s, it doesn't age. It never ages. You play it today and it's like to play a Beatles, play Sgt. Pepper's. And it doesn't really sound like the 60s. It's just an ageless music, not just the Beatles, but that whole genre of music is really, the question is why is that? But maybe now after 50 years, we've actually now entered a period where that rock period will be nostalgic, and it'll sound as dated as the big bands of the 1940s soon. Or maybe that's what we're saying.
So you think Nirvana might one day end up sounding dated?
Well, I'm saying that they
were like before 95, so
it could. I mean, it's compared to if we go into a very purely synthetic sound now that we have, and everything's quite synthetic and artificial and virtual and digital, auto-tuned.
Yeah.
And so MTV is gone. I mean, Kurt Cobain did the MTV Live, which was a big seminal moment, really, for Nirvana. Similar to Elvis when he did a show on TV where he was not live, but he was playing very intimately in front of a few people in a small studio setting wearing a leather suit, and it was the relaunch of Elvis's career, really. So we saw that with those MTV live shows. I think they called them something other than MTV Live. I think it was called something else.
We'll
MTV.
have to get Adam Curry. Maybe we DM him right now and
Oh
say,
yeah,
hey,
Adam Curry.
what was it called?
Tell him to get on our show right now.
Yeah, we should maybe like there is a live stream, a live interview function on this.
Yeah, I want to get Adam Curry on. I want to ask him about Rick Beato's theory that rock and roll died, and see what Adam Curry says, one of the original VJs on MTV, who's now an impresario in Bitcoin with the Sphinx chat and other stuff.
Pushing that Breeze as well and Lightning Network. But you know what I really like is the old time blues, like the old albums with the old recording technique.
Robert Johnson,
Etta James,
Howling Wolf.
Yeah, and I like that really crunchy album sound.
Yeah, well, that's why what brought vinyl back, didn't it? You remember CDs when they were launched? People were saying, "Oh my God, we'll never hear another vinyl record again."
Yeah.
And then after 20 years, people are like, "Wait a minute, let's put everything out on vinyl. Let's play vinyl. Vinyl is real. Vinyl is authentic."
Yeah,
It's
a cool sound. I like it.
Yeah, it's back. The scratches, all people are missing that authenticity. When they with their musical experience, the CD, the digital sound tends to be antiseptic, and too synthetic and all that kind of stuff.
Somebody says, somebody whose name is I Am Prosperity says my bank account has a negative balance.
That's
LOL.
great. Congratulations.
Love Bitcoin.
Great. Good on you.
Right. So the Church of Max Kaiser is the handle of somebody on Twitter.
Yeah.
Their actual handle is Bitcoin as Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And their screen name is the Church of Max Kaiser. And they say, Max Kaiser, my great-grandfather perished on the Titanic, which before it sank was a metaphor for man's dominance and control of nature through mechanization and industrialization. After it sank, a metaphor for man's arrogance and self-aggrandizement, ? The coming collapse of the climate ecosystem's critical supply chains and civility, coupled with crop failures, a raging plague of biblical proportions, etc., and an economy run by financial psychopaths and a rapidly accelerating death spiral, means the Titanic of the everything bubble is about to go down soon.
Preach it.
Preach it.
Preach.
And he provides
Speak on it.
A quote. It can fairly be said that the chain of catastrophic bets made over the past decade by a few hundred bankers may well turn out to be the greatest nonviolent crime against humanity in history. Well, Max doesn't think it was nonviolent. He said that before. We talked to the late Paul Moore, who, remember, he was a former bank regulator in the United Kingdom, and he was a whistleblower. He recently died in the past year or two, and he said at the time that the financial collapse of 2008, when we interviewed him, would be responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people, and that was as a result of financial fraud. But I'm juxtaposing the Church of Max Kaiser versus the Church of Luigi, and or how do you say that in Italian? Chiesa. Chiesa is the church. Chiesa. Chiesa. I know we have to have some Italians out there. So the point is that, in terms of optimism, relentless optimism versus pessimism, like Bitcoin came along at the very right time, because right now we would all be mired in this sort of pessimism of like, we're in this Titanic and it's going down and there's no hope. Whereas now we can opt out. It's an exit valve, as Christine Lagarde had pointed out. And there is an exit. There is an exit from that, and it's a peaceful exit. That's nonviolent. The nonviolence is Bitcoin. That is the peaceful way out. And you can tune into all the cable news you want. And I know it feels good in a way to kind of like revel in the gore and, they're at the point now though where they're turning against the other two sides. Like you have Fox News versus MSNBC, and all you see if you tune into the Bitcoin, not Bitcoin Twitter, but politics Twitter, you see like they're all like wishing death on the other side. So I mean that's pretty bleak place to be, but like you don't see that anywhere in Bitcoin. You don't see that even during like debates about say Taproot now. We're going to talk to Adam back on the Full Dose this weekend about Taproot and what's happening there. But, the relentless optimism of a genuine rebirth and a new optimistic outlook is way better than dwelling in this, all these disasters, the catalog of disasters you list here.
True. Well, we have very little choice in our media space. We used to have a lot more choice. People are kind of forced into the abattoir of cable news, like sheep to the slaughter, right? When we were in the 60s and the kids, you'd have lots of different public access and local radio, local TV, local theater, local community, local library. People don't go to the library anymore.
True.
Right. And so the common space, the public domain has been corporatized and eliminated and squeezed out. So we only really have one choice, and that is to put our face into the fire hydrant of cable chicken shit. And, that's it. So people have their face blown off by the velocity of chicken shit coming at them from Rachel Maddow's anus. And there's not much they can do about it because there's no other choices out there. It's either that or shoot up some more smack. Those are the two choices in America.
Oh my God. HSBC, which is one of the biggest of the terrorist banking outfits in the world, recidivist financial terrorist, always getting fined. They get away with fines. Nobody goes to jail. But I saw that they today were telling clients they were basically banning them from buying Coinbase shares. Before that, it was MicroStrategy and a few other companies that they banned because they own too much Bitcoin or whatever. So, that's the sort of bank that is trying to shut off access. They would rather have you watching MSNBC and cable news and CNN and the likes of that and Fox and to be just filled with despair and helplessness and hopelessness. So that's the way that they're going to do it. But it's funny
the
that
whole book came out shredded, right?
Shredded by Ian Fraser.
Ian Fraser just chronicles the entire story up until a few years ago of HSBC,
of RBS
and HSBC, the whole banking system. As it were. It's
Same thing, right?
Indictment on the whole system.
Well, our RBS was like a faster plunge to the ground into nothingness and fraud.
Another UK bank, and the UK. I saw a great podcast where I was listening to it. It was Peter McCormick's "What Bitcoin Did" podcast. They had Bill Barheit and Simon Dixon talking about banking in the UK and how hostile it is to the industry. And Simon Dixon, telling the story of how he actually had to leave the UK. He couldn't do his model of financing Bitcoin startups and this type of thing. Bill Barheit with similar stories about overreach by UK regulators. And, it's just, and Peter was, because he lives there, when you live there, you're not really aware of what's going on. So he was like, really? I never knew this. Because you're the goldfish in the goldfish bowl. You don't know that you're surrounded by water necessarily, right? So people in the UK, when we lived there, we would constantly talk to people, British people, and say, this system is really messed up for these various reasons. And they would like, what are you talking about? We never heard about that. I never knew anything about it. But
Peter McCormick had his bank accounts shut down because he's involved with Bitcoin.
I think that's why, he had this interview, right? He's trying to get to the bottom of all
we put him in touch with Simon Dixon to help him with that issue. So, yeah, I mean, it's messed up. It's messed up. It's time to flee. Time to flee. I mean, but the fact is, especially because of Brexit, it's not like the UK has a choice, right? They need to get with the game. They need to get with the program and start competing for the smartest people and the most creative people in the world, and they're all in Bitcoin. They're in Renaissance 2.0, man. Get over yourself.
The top of this of society is filling their boots with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And they're buying Bitcoin hand over fist. The working class are being told that it's evil and they need to stay away from it until such time as the top 1/10 of 1% feel they've filled their belly enough, and then they'll say, "Oh, this is actually great. Please buy my Bitcoin."
Right. So we have a few more minutes, and then we're all gonna like regroup, and I'll be watching Daniela Camboni's hosted interview, the debate show with Frank Justra versus Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is obviously going to win. We already know this. It's a foregone conclusion. However, if you have any questions, like send them in. And, otherwise, and smash the like button, by the way. If you don't get us right now, we're at 436. And if you don't get it to 500, then Max is going to take off his pants.
What?
And play the ukulele.
Oh my God. I thought that was more of a reward if they do get it to 500. But in either case, I'm basically just going to provide color commentary as I usually do in my erudite manner.
This kind of feels like it, I guess, yeah, we have 15 more minutes. We have 15 more minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Excellent.
What time is that interview, guys? Well, the interview is at 3 p.m. Right now. It's 2:15-ish. And so, in 45, do the helicopter. Somebody's telling you to do the helicopter. Is that some sort of
What does that mean?
I guess it's a pole dance.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm a little behind on some of the newer moves.
Or maybe.
I haven't been pole dancing in 20 years or so. So I don't know some of the new moves. I'm still doing some of the old school.
HL Munch says a pantless ukulele session. I'll wait for that.
Yeah, baby. Of course, for those UK people, it would be with pants, wouldn't it?
What?
Because
pants. I get it. I get it.
What we call underwear, they call pants. Isn't that true?
Why don't you have more live viewers? Well, there's like close to 1,000, about 1,000.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Everybody's like injecting orange pills into their bloodstream, getting ready for Michael Saylor to annihilate Frank Justra. So
that's just a warm-up act.
You are a role model to many, Max. Oh my God.
A lot of people who seek
guidance,
spiritual connectivity.
Many people who seek to sink in a ship or a boat or some sort of boating accident. Yes, he's their spiritual guru.
Yes. We're still searching for those lost keys.
What sources do you use to keep up? CNN, Fox, MSNBC, all propaganda and lies. And no, we don't watch. We don't even have a TV in the house, so we don't watch the news unless we're traveling and we tune in just to check in on the so-called competition and realize we have no competition. The good thing is competition is good. So it's good that we have like amazing podcasters all over this space in the Bitcoin space. And, they're getting more into like what we do as well, which is, monetary policy and macroeconomics and things like that. So that's the good thing. But we do, like, I mostly look at headlines about big topics and look at the Bloomberg coverage of it, CNBC coverage of it, all the business news coverage of it, and then look at the blogging coverage of it and try to make my, our own interpretation of what we read between all of the various ways of people covering it. Yeah. No one single source.
Usually if I go to Zero Hedge, which I do every morning, if there's a headline screaming about imminent World War III, then I check the price of gold. If it hasn't moved, then I know it's bullshit. And then I go back to sleep.
Zero Hedge is a little bit plagued by that fiat dark ages world of like total negativity and so much fear. And I just think like if you kind of can step away from that fear, it's so much better for you personally. Like all that anxiety also leads to like, look at Americans, like how many obese people there are.
That's why I cross-check it with the gold market.
In order to not be obese?
Yeah. if it sounds scary, I just check gold, and if it hasn't moved, then I know it's just a bullshit headline. But they do refract the news through market lens,
Yeah.
which is helpful, because if you tend to look at market signals. So if the gold is down again, I know nothing major happened in the world. And if the dollar is up again, then I know that people still think the Fed is credible and they're not going out of business anytime soon. So within 30 seconds, I already know everything about the next 24 hours. Check the price of Bitcoin, and it just goes up on average every year for 10 years, and because it's taking over and everything's going to become going into Bitcoin. And then from there, you just kind of look at the chatter amongst the failing economist class as more and more throw themselves onto the pyre of career toast. As more and more of them decide they're going to commit Bitcoin aside onto the pyre of the Bitcoin invincibility by throwing themselves and like I guess I don't know why I just thought of this, but I think in India, isn't it their traditions people to throw themselves onto the funeral pyre? And this is what economists do every day. So every day there's some new economist that the crypto Twitter is flailing publicly for being a moron. They're committing Bitcoin aside. So you check in with that a little bit. I used to, there's so many of them. I didn't know that the world had so many failed economists. I mean, I knew that there was a glut of them, but I had no idea that there were literally hundreds of thousands of them all over the world who sit around and just say such silly things all day long, and they're all being completely incinerated. And I've been seeing this now for a number of years, so it's less fun than it used to be. And I think some of the big names have already been scorched and burnt to a toast. Then some like Ray Dalio, the education of Ray Dalio. I called that one last year. He was a Bitcoin critic. Now he's going to put like 20% of his portfolio into Bitcoin. That was obvious. Called that one a year ago.
So we'll read some more of the comments. And Max is the Uncle Milty of crypto.
You can give me a news story, and I'll tell you what the resolution will be.
Okay, you could do that too.
Right. Tell
but in the
me
meantime,
any news story, anything. I'll tell you how it's going to resolve. I'll tell you what the end, what the ending is going to be on any news story. I'm usually 98% correct. I can predict how any news story will end 6 months before it does. That's when you're in the church of Max Kaiser and you are the
speak.
What is it? The
you need redemption.
The high priest of Bitcoin. I see the future.
Max is the high priest of Bitcoin, according to Michael Saylor.
Has incredible fidelity. It's like I'm almost never wrong.
Goggins is Bitcoin. Okay. Somebody's talking about Doge. I don't want to talk about Doge. Right. This thing, Bitcoin is Zeus. Where is Swan? Do you have URL of the Saylor debate? Right. So that was directed at me, and I will tell you, you go to danielacambone.com and you register there, DanielaCambone, and you register there and you get sent the link as soon as it drops. You get the first view. It doesn't cost anything. It's all there for you. If you have any headlines from Max in the last 10 minutes here before we head out and, prep ourselves for this debate to watch that. Max, can you speak about love and life?
Yes. Well, can you narrow that down a little bit? Otherwise, we'll be here all day.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Somebody says, bring back Michael Hudson. We haven't talked to him in a while. Got to talk to him. In fact, I'll email him directly after this because that's good. No, Stacy, do you have a URL of the Saylor debate? I'll post it here.
I think you just gave it out.
Yeah, but I'll Daniela, somebody might not know how to pronounce it. Cambone.com. There you go.
Copy of the white paper in booklet form.
Hey, Yellow's there. Where is Plucky? Yellow wants to know where Plucky is.
Plucky's sleeping. Plucky's taking a nap.
I can see Plucky is sleeping.
Yeah,
how about Divine?
Divine's there, but I think you said we're wrapping it up.
We are wrapping it up. We have another 7 minutes here. I'm going to delete this guy. Buy Bitcoin Cash. He gets hide user on this channel. Max is the soothsayer of Bitcoin. This is the best community. So happy here. I'm glad I joined the Telegram. T.me/orange pill. And of course, if you want to smash buy some Bitcoin, which you ought to be doing during any dip, of course, if you're like me, if you're like a lunatic like me, smash buying all-time lows, all-time highs, all-time middle of the road, all-time, all the time, right?
Yeah, all the time, every day. No time like the night time that's now. No time like now.
You know, I'm that sort of what sort of smash buyer are you? Because I'm the sort of smash buyer. Say I have like $1,000 for a day of smash buying. I'm the sort that prefers to do like 4 smash buys across the day rather than just one chunk of it, because I like the feeling. Like I'm like that rat that keeps on going back to the morphine, like cling and
click,
just
click,
like
click, click.
Yeah. So that's me. How about you? If you had $1,000, would you rather do it in one go, or 2 or 3 or 4? Like, what would you do?
Oh, I just go one go.
See, yeah. So we're different. I like that more hits.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
That's more of an interactive. You know, it's like you get the interactive quality of it's kind of nice.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, I feel like a rush of adrenaline as I'm logging on and going to Swan Bitcoin and getting ready to hit buy. And then like there's like a rush of euphoria right after when I see the balloons.
Yeah.
And then after about an hour or two, I've come down and I feel like I need another hit. So if you do just a one blow all the 1,000 in one go, like you only get that once.
Yeah, I get it.
But that's the way I roll. How about you out there?
How does the people do it? Smash buy on Swan. Smash buy on Swan.
Okay, so this guy, I am prosperity again, says Bitcoin zodiac sign is suggesting big pump this week.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. What is Bitcoin's zodiac sign? If it was, it was the 3rd of January.
Well,
is that an Aquarius?
It's an Aquarius. Yeah.
I'm an Aquarius too. I guess I'm Satoshi.
Yeah, you're Satoshi.
I guess so. That proves it.
Well, when does Capricorn ends? Like right about very early January. So, but I think it's Aquarius by January 3rd. Tell us, who out there knows the whole Capricorn sort of. It's either Capricorn or Aquarius, but I think I'm pretty certain it is Aquarius by January 3rd.
Oh, right. So Satoshi is Aquarius. The Bitcoin is Aquarius.
Aquarius. Somebody says it's a tea bag. Boy.
Really?
So I guess with that, we're going to wrap up because, you know, I know everybody wants to get prepared. Go sign up for the whole debate, the Bitcoin versus gold debate, as if it's a debate, really, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I think that, I think Michael's going to close Frank Justra, who's going to walk away with as a new member of the Bitcoin community. I think that's what the end result's going to be, because actually Michael Saylor, aside from being a Bitcoin really leader, you know, he's also a very successful businessman, has been for many years. And one of the things and skills in business that you learn is selling, how to sell, how to close. So I think he's going to come in here with that mentality. Like, I'm not just going to win some points here. I'm going to close this guy. And so I think we're going to see a master salesman at work. Anyone who is interested in the art of selling, and it is an art form, I think that's something you can look at with this interaction between these two. I think you're going to see Michael Saylor slowly over the period of 30 or 40 minutes work the prospect, in this case Frank Justra, into a place where he essentially closes him on Bitcoin. So you'll see him essentially remove the rebuttals. So in any sales process, all the rebuttals, you know that what they are ahead before. So as they come up, you put them aside, right? And you're navigating the prospect into a place where they just run out of rebuttals, basically. So they can only buy to get out of the situation. They can only buy their way out. So that we're going to see that. We're going to see that today.
So go buy, as Yellow says, you malakas. Tell us how to say that. Is it malakas or is it malakas? Like, where is the, the emphasis on which end of it? Or like, that's why I said on a show recently that, you pronounce everything like Italian. Malakas. Like everything is like equal emphasis on every single syllable.
That's the way all languages should be that way.
All languages should be that way because it's the easiest. You could just talk like this and everything makes sense.
Yes, it all sounds melodious and wonderful.
It all sounds the same. I think that's the way to go. That's the way I'm going to talk now. Even if you call it cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk like an Italian.
Talk like an Italian.
I can, because you know what? I am half Finnish. And remember the Prime Minister of Italy, Silvio Berlusconi, said it was the worst food in all the world.
That bunga bunga dancing crazy man.
So payback for that is I'm going to speak like an Italian.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, we'll see you all over at DanielaCambone.com for the great debate.
Yeah. See ya.
I'm going to press stop now.
Do it.
In fact, it says finish. Get it? I'm finished. It says finish.